Parkgate, and Redcliffe. Subsequently, there was a burst rising main from Hazelmere to Grange Reservoir, which interrupted water supply to the Redcliffe and Buffels Dry areas. Repairs to this system were completed and water supply was restored on the 23rd of January 2024. Following a storm of 13 January 2024, high turbidity in the raw water at the Utongat water treatment plant resulted in reduced production of treated water to supply all the reservoirs in Tongat. This was cleared within 14 days, if we talk about progress. The rising main to the Utongat South Reservoir was also destroyed, impacting water supply to the residents of Utongat. The repairs to the rising main were completed on the 28th of January 2024, and water was restored to the low-lying areas of Tongat. However, power interruptions prevented the pumping to higher-lying areas until the 31st of January 2024, when water was finally restored in all areas. I want to talk about additional interventions by eThekwini Municipality. The pipe replacement program is ongoing and it is on track. Hazelmere to Grange pipeline is currently being upgraded. Active leak detection and repair program is on track to commence at the beginning of April 2024. 108 pressure reduction valves are on track to start the installation process in the month of March. The revenue enhancement program is continuing with the new meter reading contract now in place, and the meters are being read in order to ensure accurate building processes. The Southern Aqueduct project is on track to commence in the month of April 2024. Water reuse project is on track to go on tender by end of February 2024. Council has approved the implementation of the Umkomazi Dam project by the National Department of Water and Sanitation, which once completed will help to improve the security of water supply in the city. In the places like KwaXimba, the supply is constrained by the limited size of the back pipeline. To address this situation, the municipality has begun the upgrade of the trunk main from Cato Ridge Reservoir to the KwaXimba areas. This being done by internal construction teams and is due to be completed by December this year. To provide additional potable water, particularly in the rural communities, the municipality is investing in boreholes as another source of water supply. The municipality is currently drilling 40 boreholes in 21 rural wards. To date, 20 boreholes have been drilled and will be commissioned following the water quality testing. Some of these boreholes have started providing water from the beginning of February 2024, including Trenens Park, which is already receiving water from the borehole. While all these interventions are being implemented, the municipality is ensuring that communities continue to receive water through the water tankers. Last year, the municipality procured additional 55 new water tankers. An additional 100 new water tankers will be delivered before May 2024. In the meantime, since the fleet is not coping with the current demand, the municipality has requested to hire additional water tankers. In the context of the damage and the impact of flooding, the municipality is implementing an accelerated procurement program to expedite all its procurement processes related to the restoration of water supply. We appeal for understanding by our communities, and we are cognizant of the fact that residents have been suffering without water for a prolonged period of time. However, we wish to assure our residents that our teams have been working around the clock to resolve water disruptions, and we will not rest until water is fully supplied. I wish to thank you.
Thank you so much, City Manager, for the statement that we have just read. Members of the media, without any further ado, in the interest of time, I would like to open the floor for any clarity-seeking question in respect of the update that City Manager is giving. Any question, I would invite you to introduce yourself, mention the name of the organization, then the question. Any question that are available? Maybe in the meantime, I should invite City Manager to do a high-level summary in isiZulu in terms of the report that we've just received. Thank you.
Ngiyabonga Ntsele. Ngibingelele wena mphathi ohlelo mfowethu Ntsele, ngibingelele Deputy City Manager abakhona i-manager zonke ezikhona zomkhandlu, umphakathi wemedia nomphakathi nje osilalele through the live streaming process. Besifisa nje ukuthi siqale ngokuthi sihalalisele abafana bafana ngendlela abadlale kahle ngayo ngesikhathi kunomncintiswano omkhulu webhola endaweni yase Ivory Coast. Siyabonga ukuthi babuye nezindondo balala isithathu kulo mcimbi. Kodwa ke inhloso enkulu ukuthi sizokwazisa umphakathi mayelana nesimo samanzi eThekwini nokuthi sesenzeni kuzofika la. Kubalekile mhlawumbe ukuthi siqale ngokuthi sisho ukuthi ungqongqoshe uSenzo Mchunu wahlangana nabahlali base Verulam, oThongathi nase Phoenix ngomhla ka4 February. Kanti nathi futhi siwumkhandlu sakwazi ukuthi siphinde siyohlangana nomphakathi wase Phoenix. Sasikwenza konke lokhu uqinisekisa ukuthi umphakathi subeka esithombeni ukuthi kwenzakaleni ngeenkinga zamanzi kumasipala wethu. Sakwazi ke ukuthi suchazele umphakathi ukuthi ithimba lethu liyasebenza kakhulu nsuku zonke ubusuku nemini uqinisekisa ukuthi lenkinga yamanzi iyaxazululeka. Izeke noma sasikade sithe ngomhla ka15 sizozama ukuthi inkinga sibe sesiqede nya, kodwa ke sasibikile ukuthi asizulinda wona umhla ka15, ezinye izindawo zizoqhubeka ziwathole amanzi. Siyajabula ke ukubeka lo mbiko ukuthi ezinye zezindawo sezivele zinawo amanzi ngokwezigaba ke ezahlukene. Kodwa sasikade sicabange ukuthi kuyothi iqamba kushaya umhla ka15 siyobe sesiqede nya inkinga eyamanzi. Kodwa ke sibe sesihlangabezana nezingqinamba ezithize esasingeke sikwazi ukuthi sizibone ngaphambilini ukuthi zizoba khona. Njengokuthi nje sithe masibheka sathola ukuthi amanye amavalve angaphansi kwezakhiwo, angithi abantu bakithi sebeyazakhela nje bakhe nanoma ikuphi. So manje sisithole sesinaleyo ngqinamba eyokuthi besiloku sithi masithi senza ama test ethu sibone amanzi engaphumi, sibe sesibona ukuthi kunale ndawo njengalezo. Ezinye zalezi zindawo ziba nenkinga yokuthi amanye amavalve siwathola phakathi emfuleni ngaphansi njengoba hamba linqamule kanjalo. So ke sithe masibheka sathola ukuthi lezi zinto lezi zizothatha isikhashana nje ukuthi sizilungise, futhi kufanele senze nohlelo lokuthi sibuye senze i-shutdown. Kodwa ezinye indawo siyajabula ukusho ukuthi izingxenye eziningi zase Phoenix amanzi asekhona, iMount Ashcombe, iVirginia, uMhlanga neDurban North, noma engakaphumi kahle hle ngendlela ayidesignela ukuthi aphume ngayo. Kodwa kuyasijabulisa thina ukubeka njengenqubekela phambili ukuthi sezikhona indawo esezinamanzi. So ke sibeke sesithi asike sikubalule nokuthi ezindaweni ezinjengoThongathi ikakhulukazi lezi eziphakelwa i-system le esibiza ngokuthi i-Hazelmere water treatment works ngesikhathi sinezikhukhula zomhla ka-13 January kuke kwanenkinga yokuthi amanzi edamini abe udaka kakhulu ngalendlela ukuthi kuba nzima ukuthi lawo manzi siwathathe eludaka onjalo bese siyawatreata siqale siwasupplyele kubantu ngoba leyo process ithatha isikhathi kufanele nilinde ukuthi udaka lolo luzike bese nikha amanzi lawa angaphezulu nikwazi ukuthi niwatreate kahle ke bese niyawahambisa for ukuthi abantu baphuze zinyeke zeyingqinamba lezo esibhekene nazo kakhulukazi kuThongathi Water Treatment Plant kodwa ke sikwenze konke okusemandleni nakithi uqinisekisa ukuthi iningi lalezi ndawo noma ngabe beyikhona leyo nkinga yodaka oluningi oluze nezikhukhula kodwa emva kweinsuku ezine sibe sesiqinisekisa ukuthi abantu amanzi bayawathola kunezinye ke izinhlelo esinazo esizenzayo njengokushintshwa kwamapipe lokho esasikade siqalile ngonyaka ophelile kusaqhubeka ipipe leli liphakathi kweZelmere neGrange nalo liyakhiwa sine program lena eyokuhlonza ama leaks lapho kuvuza khona amanzi and iyaqhubeka ingxenye yayo but enye izoqala ngenyanga kaApril bese kuthi ama valve awu 108 okureduce ipressure siyaqhubeka siyawafaka sicabanga ukuthi sobe siqedile ukuwafaka ngoMarch sinciphiselana na leyo pressure sifuna ukuqinisekisa ukuthi indawo zonke zithola amanzi ngokulinganayo kungabi khona izindawo ezine pressure zodwa eyanele bese kuthi amanzi angabusafika kwezinye indawo sinohlelo ke lokufakwa kwamamitha endaweni eziningi ukuze siqinisekise ukuthi masibhila abantu sibabhila lokho okufanele engabe bakhokhela kunohlelo ke olukhulu lapho sifaka khona isamba semali engangebhillion leli pipe eliya eSouth elibizwa ngokuthi iSouthern Aqueduct lelo pipe lizoqala lakhiwe ngoApril sinalo futhi nolunye uhlelo lokuqinisekisa ukuthi amanzi aya recyclishwa abuye asetshenziswe ukuze sikwazi ukuthi siwasupply ezimbonini ukuze izimboni zingasebenzisa amanzi okufuze ngabe amanzi aphuzwa abantu leyo process itender yakhona izoqedwa ekupheleni kuka February kunedamu elikhulu elizosibiza 28 billion rand ikhanseli edlule ithathe isinqumo sokuthi le project ayiqhubeke lelo damu lizoqala lakhiwe libe ingxenye yomkhomazi dam esizokwazi ukuthi siqinisekise ukuthi indawo eziningi ziba namanzi so leyo project isizoqala nje anytime soon because i-council has resolved ukuthi ucity manager akasayine leso sivumelwano uqinisekisa ukuthi leyo project iyaqhubeka siyaqonda futhi umphakathi wakithi ukuthi ezindaweni ezinje ngakoXimba zisakhona izinkinga ezikhona mayelana no size bamapipe khona ingakho nje sesiqalile uqinisekisa ukuthi kwawona lawo mapipe siyawalula abe makhulu kakhulukazi uqinisekisa ukuthi amanzi aqhamuka koKhetho Ridge Reservoir kwaXimba ayakwazi ukuthi afinyelele kubantu ngokusheshsha so lo msebenzi esiwenzayo siyazenzela thina ngaphakathi cabanga ukuthi sobe siqedile ngoDisemba kodwa ke sithe ngoba abantu ngeke phela bahlale balindele wonke lama deadlines esizibekela wona sithe asike sibe senza izaba zokuqinisekisa ukuthi abantu amanzi bayawathola ngesikhathi sisalungisa ingqala sizinda sibeke sesenza ama boreholes amaningi sasihlonze ukuthi sizokwenza awu40 kakhulukazi kule ndawo zasemakhaya sesenze awu21 inqubekela phambili leyo awu20 kulo 21 aseyasebenza abantu sebeyaqala bayawathola amanzi endaweni nje ngako Trainers Park noma kungasiyo indawo eyasemakhaya kodwa enye yendawo esasiyihlonzile ukuthi abantu bazokwazi ukuthi bathola amanzi ephuma kwiborehole. Baqalile ke bawathola abantu kusukela ekuqaleni kwaFebruary amanzi kulama borehole. Bese ke sengizothi nje sengiphetha ngizokubalula ukuthi sinohlelo futhi lokuqinisekisa ukuthi abantu ama-water tank bayawathola in the meantime ngesikhathi sisalungisa ingqalasizinda. Siyaqonda ke emphakathi wakithi ukuthi ama-water tank ayengakhelwe ukuthi abe isixazululo esiphelele ngoba sinabantu bakithi asebebadala abanye banezifo zamadolo kuba nzima ukuhamba belokhu beyonkinkishela amanzi kuma-waterkan. Siyaqonda lokho ingako istaff sethu sisebenza around the clock and silalelile mangabe bethi abantu bethu amanye ama-water tank agcina esengasafiki ey'ndaweni zabo. Ingako ke nje siwumkhandlu si-decide ukuthi siphinde sithenge amanye, sesiyazithengela awethu. Ngizama ukufuna ukucacisa lento eyistory esifuna ukuvela sokucha hayi ingoba naku kukhona abantu abahlomlayo ngalohlelo. Cha, sizithengela thina awethu ama-water tanker ayi-property yomkhandlu ukuze siqinisekise ukuthi abantu ngesikhathi zokuxakeka njengalezi amanzi bawathola. Siphinde futhi sathi sizothola amanye awu-100 azodeliver ngaphambi kokuthi kuphele uMay 2024 ukulungela ukuthi masiphinda sibhekana nalesi simo sikwazi ukuthi sibe nama-water tanker singaloku siyowaqasha ngaso sonke isikhathi. Ngakho ke siwumkhandlu sithi sizoqinisekisa ngisho nohlelo olwe-procurement uqinisekisa ukuthi siyalisheshisa ukuze abantu bathole amanzi kusenesikhathi. Siyanxusa kubantu bethu ukuthi basibekezelele, senza konke okusemandleni ethu nonjiniyela bethu nonjiniyela esibaqashile ukuqinisekisa ukuthi abantu bakithi bawathola amanzi. Ngike ngakubeka ke ukuthi noma sasibathembise ukuthi ngomhla ka-15 indawo yonke iyobe seyinamanzi, sifisa ukudlulisa isixoliso kumphakathi wethu ukuthi akubanga njalo, kodwa njengoba sisho nje ukuthi izindawo eziningi amanzi sesinawo njengoba sasithembisile, kodwa besicela nje ukuthi siphinde sinikezwe isikhashana ukuqinisekisa ukuthi nalezi zindawo ebezisele amanzi siyawathola. Ngiyabonga Ntshosho.
Sibonga kakhulu kumphathi dolobha ubaba uMbhele ngombiko asethe wasithulela wona. Bokhona ebalule khona inqubekela phambili umkhandlu osuyenzile ekulungiseni ingqalasizinda yamanzi. Ngalo kuleliqaphelo, members of the media, I would like to take only 3 questions in the interest of time because city manager need to rush to a council meeting. So please allow me to only take 3 hands for clarity-seeking questions. Then Ukuku will assist you with other follow-up queries you may have on this program. I note 1 hand. Can I take the second hand? That hand. Seemingly we only have 1 hand. Thank you. Oh, there are 2 hands. All right, you may proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, City Manager. It's Karinda from Newsroom Africa. So just on 2 points. The first is you said the existing pipeline and valves are decaying old and the maintenance records are not available for some valves. Can you just please expand? Are these digital records, a paper trail? How are they not available and who would be held accountable for losing those records? And as a result of the decaying pipelines clearly not maintained, how much is it cost? How much is this whole project costing the city? And then we have 50 water tankers. How many are operational? With regards to hiring the 100 additional tankers, what is your budget? And under the accelerated procurement program, how transparent will the municipality be about this? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I will only...
Josh, can I suggest that we deal with her question? She has asked 5 questions.
Okay.
So we will run into a problem of forgetting. I've not been recording.
Okay.
So can we deal with her questions quickly so that we do justice? Sweli, these are very technical questions. So I would like you to respond to these. Generally, yeah. Then I may add if
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Sorry, City Manager. You were quite quick, so I managed to write some of them, but not all of them.
Yeah. Please be on the podium because they want to see you as you thoroughly deal with questions. The first question is, why have some records not been found? And who is going to be held responsible for poor record keeping? I think that is the first question. The second question says, okay, she will repeat the other questions.
So the
Let me
second
not try to be smart, but
says-
let's tackle one at a time.
Thank you so much. The second is with regards to the cost of replacing the decaying pipelines. And the third is the 50 water tankers we have, how many are actually working? Sorry.
Yeah, cost of replacing the decaying pipeline.
Yeah, the cost.
Yes.
Our 50 water tankers that are purchased by the municipality, how many are operational?
Okay.
And as we hire 100 more water tankers, what's the budget and how transparent will the municipality be? Considering there have been reports about issues regarding private water tanker companies. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, and greetings to everyone. Firstly, I think what is in the statement, I think you are quoting from there, where it says the pipeline is old. This is referring to the Northern Aqueduct. It's indeed an old pipeline, but I think what is important to note is that most infrastructure is designed for about 50 years, 60 years. And we've communicated this before, that if you look at the city's infrastructure and you took the value of that infrastructure about 3 years ago, if you needed to replace all of it, you needed about 130 billion rand. So that's maybe a good start in terms of these figures. So that's your current replacement cost as of 3 years ago. And then it has been shown that you need to replace 2% of the value of your infrastructure every year if you don't want to have a problem. All right, so 2%, you can do the math, the 2% of 130 is in excess of 2 billion rand that we should be spending every year. And that's not for 1 year, not for 2 years, that's forever. Because where that comes from, the theory is that if you do 2% per year, in 50 years you'd have done 100%. So then the cycle starts again. So there's no stopping the 2 billion, so it's always 2 billion. So in keeping with that, what we had done with the Northern Aqueduct is we realized that it was old, and hence the problems that the city manager has spoken to. And then we initiated a project to replace that pipeline, which is now the new Northern Aqueduct. And in the statement, you'll hear mention of the new Northern Aqueduct. So where we are really now is a stage where we should be moving from the old, and we don't want to spend too much money on the old one because you now have the new one. So, but what has delayed the commissioning of the new aqueduct is the shutdowns, because when you do all of this work, every time you have to shut down. And when you shut down, because our system is in a deficit overall in terms of availability of raw water, it's very fragile. So when you shut it down, to recover takes too long. You don't have sufficient water to say, right, I shut down for a couple of days, now I'm getting water, give me more water. They can't do it because we are already in a deficit. Hence the Umkomazi Dam that the city manager was talking about, that you actually need that so that you move away from being in a deficit to a situation where you have enough water. And if in future you need to do a shutdown like this, you do it in a day, you recover in a couple of days. So those are the plans around the new Northern Aqueduct. First is in place. We are now going to commission, the city manager gave dates, by end of February, a section of that new Northern Aqueduct. So that will in itself bring some relief, and then we'll plan the rest of the aqueduct. That's about 35 kilometers, that pipeline, so it's serious stuff. Yeah. So that's why we have the issues. So the documents, the drawings, these are very old. If it was today, your documents would have been in a GIS system. You wouldn't be talking physical drawings. But now you're going back many years ago. So we've got most of it. It's not as though we don't know, but I think what was being referred to here is when you want to know that when you have an air valve that is buried, or let's say a valve, it's buried, we get into a stage where you don't know what is under that. Maybe it's buried under a road, for example. I'm making an example. So you don't know what is inside the road. It's not as though you don't know there's a valve there, but the condition of that valve was you just haven't accessed it for some time. So that's what we are referring to. So I hope it responds to the issue of records, but something that has been dealt with. I think we've got, I can say that as a water and sanitation unit, we have probably the best GIS department in the city, if I might claim that. So it's very good. Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe if I can elaborate a little bit more on the issue of records. Fortunate, in the early 90s, I used to work for Kwamashu. Kwamashu, at the time, it was run by KwaZulu government. And then after that, in the early 2000s, I was working for Mgeni Water. I can assure you that when those schemes were taken over, must remember when the metro was formed, we took over KwaZulu government, rural areas, and all of those things, and consolidated that into one. When we took over Kwamashu, I can assure you, because I was working there were no records. So basically, how we do the records, you base on what you see at that point in time. When we are doing the as-built, you go around something that is sitting, you all know about it. So basically, the record that we took over were not perfect, so we're trying to perfect that. On the side of some of the schemes that were taken over from other municipalities, I know for the fact some of them were built by communities, because I was party to that. And there were no as-built there, I can assure you. Ethnic and I, we came with some of the schemes that were built by the communities where there were no as-built. So the first task that we had to do, we have to actually try and recover those. As I'm mentioning, if it's buried, as Babu Msweli was also mentioning as well, if it's buried, the as-built will be based on what you can see. So basically, it's imperfect records that we inherited in the past. So I just felt that probably it's important that we highlighted those issues. But as Babu Msweli was mentioning, we are working on those, and it doesn't mean that just because there were no record in Kwamashu at that point in time, now there are no record. Of what we know, we've tried as you replace, because that's what you do. As you start with what you know, and basically as you replace, that's where you confirm as well, because that's where you expose the infrastructure. Unfortunately, the infrastructure that is underground, you only confirm it once you expose it and all of that if you do not have as-built. I hope that assists in terms of that.
All right, thank you. So I think with that first question, I answered the second question as well. The 50 water tankers, I think all of them are on the road. It was actually 55 that we bought first time. So we are monitoring that very closely. I just want to add that not only those 55, all our entire fleet, because the entire fleet is around 157 now. So I can tell you yesterday I was checking on that. As of the 12th, I had only 6 water tankers that had not moved. So I interrogated that because we check daily to say, why did the 6 not move? And I can tell you there were valid reasons. It was only one where the driver was sick. The others were maintenance issues that needed to be addressed. But we are down to 6. I don't know what is 6 as a percentage of 157 on a daily basis. And 6 was on the high side. We are now usually around 4. If any don't move, and if we interrogate, there'll be a good reason for that. So we're tracking that very closely, because what we want to avoid is to hire water tankers when our own water tankers are not moving. We're saying that's a no. That can't happen. So that we are dealing with that. There is a water tanker deployment plan that we have for the city. There are some forums. There's a war room that's been established that meets twice a week. We share this information there. We established that with the assistance of the Human Rights Commission. So we share the information on the deployment plan. We share with the councillors. We've got some WhatsApp groups, even some for the ink areas. We go to the extent of giving them the registration numbers, the drivers that have been allocated. They have all of that information. It's not an easy task. I'm saying we're managing it as best as we can. If you have 157 of our own and you're hiring another 150, how big is that fleet? You're talking about about 260 or so, the fleet of water tankers that our staff, and we don't have any service provider, it's just our own staff managing that fleet. So they're doing very well in my view, but it still has its challenges. And I think we must also accept that water tankers will never be enough. You can't replace water in the taps with a water tanker. So it's not the same, it's not the level of service that we accept. The last question was the budget for hiring additional water tankers. It costs us about, if the figure is a round figure, about 11 million to hire about 110 water tankers a month. So obviously that number moves up and down whether you hire less or you hire more. As the water is restored, and the city manager gave progress in terms of water being restored, as the water supply gets restored, you overhire. That's how we're dealing with it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think her question as well, which was very preemptive, was transparency around water tanker hire. I think we need to address that by stating that for any services that we acquire as a city, we are duty bound in terms of the law to follow the provisions of Section 217 of the Constitution, which says that the process must be competitive, must be transparent, must be cost effective. So an open tender process allows for that. But also the very same legislation does allow procurement on emergency basis. Even within that emergency route, you have to prove that you have observed these three principles that are in Section 217 of the Constitution. So from where we are sitting, the process is very transparent, the process is cost effective and competitive. Thank you. Let's take other questions. Oh, we are done.
Yeah, I think CM were done. There was only one hand from a member of the media. The other one was from a councillor. We then said, because it's a media briefing, we only take questions from the members of the media. So with that, I think we are done.
Yeah, one other critical point, I think, which needs to be emphasized is that the more you solve water disruptions, generally that should have an impact on the number of water tankers that you hire. And that is something that we want to monitor very carefully, because then otherwise you will transform to a problematic state where the tankering of water is treated as a permanent solution. It can never be. So as we solve these problems, we must be able to take water tankers off the road so that we continue to provide water to people in a conventional manner that was designed. Are we done?